welcome to a special edition of Local Focus inside the 5A Championship. My guests today are the architects of those two teams, Adrian Ortega and Zack Cole. Guys, thanks a lot for coming in. Let's talk about the build-up to the tournament, and I want to get Zack first because it's got to be a little different when you're the traveling team, right? I mean, do you stay the whole week? Are you making that trip every day? What's different about being from out of town?
Yeah, that was it was actually sort of distracting at the beginning. We talked about that. You have to make hotel reservations, not knowing if you're going to even win that first round game, right? You got to kind of base everything off of assumption, and you got to make reservations, and then once you make reservations, how many nights you're going to make them for, and it's a bit of a distraction because we hadn't gone through it yet, but you know, we finally just sat down and say, hey, we got to do it, you know, because we have to do it. We're pressed for time, so we just assumed that everything was going to work out the way it did, and we stayed the first few nights. We came up Tuesday night because we played an early game on Wednesday. And then we stayed all the way through Friday. We checked out Friday, went back home, stayed in our own beds, tried to be with our families and enjoy the moment. And we came up all as a group on Saturday. So,
Adrian, are you guys still practicing at that part of the season, or is it just more walkthroughs? Take us kind of through that.
No, we practice up until the season, and we do. You know, we do walkthroughs. Game day, get the kids some food, but no, it's for us. It's convenient because we live here and our kids live here. It's the same routine. We just don't break our routine. That's very important to us.
And so, Zack, are you having to also then secure a court to practice that, or is that another thing? Or
yeah.
What are you guys doing at this point?
We did that. We reached out to a couple of coaches that we know, that I know, and they accommodated. So we had a shoot around on each day we were here, and then home on Saturday morning we had a shoot around in our own gym. In the morning before we let them go, and you know, we departed about 4 p.m. on Saturday afternoon. So we always definitely try to get a shoot around / walkthrough. It's more of a walkthrough scouting report thing on the day of a game. And like Coach said, we're all about our routine. We don't, you know, whether we have to do it in our own gym or somewhere else or in a parking lot, we're gonna do our routine. So.
What is it about both of your teams that kind of made you think you could be here at the end of the season? When did that start, Adrian?
Well, we lost a lot last year. Obviously, we lost 6 seniors, and we started off the season strong. But our kids they just believed the entire year, and I really think that our district prepared us. We had a very tough district, as everybody knows. But you know, when you have a Josiah Ramos on your team and a kid that holds his teammates accountable, you could just see every game, their confidence was building. You know, we had some issues early with sharing the ball. We had some issues with shot selection. We had some issues with some selfishness. But like I said, as we progressed, specifically against Rio Rancho in the pit, kind of felt like, hey, we do have a chance here. And our goal all along was just get to the pit. We didn't talk about district championships. We didn't talk about state championships. We just said, let's get there. And if we do, then you know, the place is magical and anything can happen.
How are you addressing that early selfishness early in the season? How does that process take it?
Just telling them to shoot it every time. Shoot it. Go ahead, shoot it. Shoot some more. Shoot it. And then when we lose, say, hey, does it work? Shoot some more. Go ahead, shoot. And they look at me and they, no, shoot it. Go for it. And you could ask them, and they figured it out that, you know, it's team first for a reason.
Zack, when did you know? I know you talk a lot about that out-of-state trip.
Yeah, we, you know, in the summer we felt like we had something special, and for us it was different. You know, Coach and them were coming off winning the state tournament last year, so we had to like force our guys to believe in a sense where we had to start talking about specific goals, and it all started last summer. And once we had a really good summer, we just we made very detail-oriented goals. We played in 3 tournaments before district. Our goal was to play in the championship game of each one of those, and we did that. We talked about being a district champ. We talked about hosting a home state playoff game because we had to go on the road the last few years. First year, tough team at El Dorado. Second year last year, eventual state champs with Coach Ortega. So our goal was to try to host that and just give ourselves a chance to get to the pit, like Coach said. And then our last goal was to win the blue trophy. And you know, we know it was a high goal. We know it was we didn't think it was too high though. At the same time, within ourselves and within our players and our coaches, and you know, that kind of felt like it took a blow when we lost JB. I'm not gonna lie, but you know, we just had such a great group of seniors this year, and they were able to keep us together and stay focused. But you know, it was a little different, like from what coaches' experience is, I'm sure, because I feel they probably already believed, you know, because they had gone through it. But that was our challenge as coaches. How do we get these guys to believe, even though they hadn't experienced it yet? And I think the way we ended, they definitely believed.
Now, you kind of touched on it, and I was going to ask that question. You had a unique roadblock, obviously, in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
What was the vibe around the team like when JB went down?
You know, we felt we were together. We were fine. We were devastated for our teammate, you know, and our player. They were real sad for him, and not just thinking about us and our season this year, but thinking about a young man's future that is going to be bright, you know. And God, that first few minutes back when the game resumed at Clovis, we were like a bunch of zombies, man. I had to call a timeout, had to look each kid in the eye and say he's going to be fine, like, you know. At that point we were fine because we still had our rotations. It's the 2 weeks later when we lost Anthony Cisneros, his backup, to a torn ACL. And then Anthony's backup was PJ at the time, and he had a pulled groin. So we went through a stretch there where we lost 4 out of 6. And that was the tough part. That was the part where we needed to, you know, find ourselves again. And we had to re-identify who we were going to be as a team. And we tried different guys starting at different spots. That's when Carlos DeSaro got to get a few starts in. And you know, the kids just always stepped up. They always stepped up to the challenge. And that's what made this season special, man. We had just different moments where different guys had to do different things, and they all did. They all did their job. That was one of our mottos last year, you know, into this year. You just got to do your job, whatever it is that the team needs. You got to be ready to do it, and we're real proud of our guys for that.
Your whole front court gets obliterated. Is there ever a time where you and your coach are like, man, this is just a bad luck year? Did that doubt start to creep in?
Yeah, you know, you definitely, you know, think that way, and we would always joke, when are we going to catch a break? And I think our break was our great kids and our great senior leaders, and you know, they just the way they came together, and we had little experiments plugging in guys at different spots, and eventually we were just playing 5 guards out there, and you know, we could have sat back and said this is bad, you know, this is bad luck and bad fortune, but instead we sort of used it to our advantage. And we were able to do different things defensively. We became really hard to guard offensively. And but again, it's all because the kids bought in and they did their job, and they put the team first. Adrian,
you see your seating, you see the bracket. What's going through your mind at that point? Are you a happy guy because you get to run through your district again? And, you know, X's and O's, you're probably very familiar.
Well, I'm going to take a step backwards and jump on your question with Zack. You know, I'm friends with one of his assistant coach's wife on Facebook, and through that process, I remember us Albuquerque coaches were like, I think at one time you guys were either 3rd or 4th place in the district. Albuquerque was on first place, and we were talking like, they may not get in if Albuquerque High finishes in front of them. So I know that your back was up against the wall, like immense. But there was a couple of videos that I saw on Facebook of your locker room, and it was all positive, and it was very classy and very respectful of the opponents. I think there was one at Rio Grande where you were like, I love that those guys bring our competitive nature out. And then I saw one where you beat Cleveland when you were at full strength, and I knew you guys were going to be there. I knew you guys were going to go on a run once you played against Capital, and that was a credit to you. And you know, it's really easy because I've done it as a young coach when I started to get negative when things don't go your way, and the kids just fall apart that way. So I really kept track of his team, and it takes a lot to get the kids to bounce back after all that adversity. But to answer your question, I really felt like we'd be a 4 seed based on talking to James Yotis, talking to Wally Salata at our district meeting, and talking to Adam Deal, who goes over all the criteria. And I was torn either way because 4 or 5, you still play Cleveland if they end up 5. Zack actually texted him. I said, hey, our district has you 8. And when he got seated, I was like, man, he didn't return my text. He's probably thinking he was higher. I was thinking, I probably should have said he was higher. I didn't mean any disrespect by it. But when I saw Cruces, us, Cleveland, you know, we didn't make excuses. We said, you know what, this is what it is. If we're going to get where we need to be, then let's just talk about Rio Rancho for now. And then whatever happens next. And obviously Oñate, you know, shocked everybody in New Mexico. And you know, those things happen in the state tournament.
I want to get ahead of Rio Rancho and talk about your matchup with Cleveland. Was there a certain level of comfort playing Cleveland, knowing how well you had played them in the regular year, them not known exactly for their clutch finishes and all?
Well, we were pretty confident that if we were able to keep it close, that we'd have a chance to win. Just based on the history, we in the district tournament they got a lead on us and we weren't able to come back. They're just so athletic and so talented, but
they're good at playing from out in front, right?
They're very good at playing out in front. They're very good at playing with the lead. Like I said, when it's close, I mean they're good in general. I mean
right.
they got 4 college guys on that team.
Yeah.
Let's not make any mistake about it. That's the most talented team in the state. Like I said, for us, we really believe that it was our discipline, it was our patience, it was our sharing. We felt like if we can control the tempo a little bit, and if we can reverse the ball a little bit, I think in the fourth quarter, I think we had 6 or 7 possessions where we reversed the ball 3 or 4 times. And we kind of felt like if we can get them after that fourth reversal, and either Josiah or Rivas or somebody, we can get them a good high percentage shot. But no, I mean they're a good team. Sean does a good job with them. We just, again, we beat them with a half-court shot. We were down by 3 with a second and something. And Ramos throws it up to you. You're just going, that's not coaching. That's pure luck. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. So, it just bounced our way, and we're real grateful for it.
Zach, the strategy against Volcano Vista, obviously their depth is well talked about, and they're lengthy, a lot of size to combat with. I mean, what's the game plan going into that?
We wanted to play an extended game. We know that they're hard to guard in the half court just based off their size and our size. So we wanted to make them work to bring it up. And then when they did get into the half court, try to just get them off their spots, not let them post up at the low block so easily, kind of try to get them to mid post, deny those passes to the high post because that'll lead into their high-low game, and just make everything difficult. That's just really what our motto is on defense, nothing easy. Whatever we feel like is your comfort zone on film, we'll just try to just make that a little harder for you, and hopefully you get frustrated and hopefully things don't go your way. That's just kind of what we do on defense. But we definitely wanted to pressure the ball. We felt like we could press them, but we felt like that pretty much against every team, just because not necessarily because of what they had, but because what we've been able to find in our guys throughout the season. When we try to pull the leash on our guys defensively a little bit and let teams walk it up and get comfortable, it just seemed like our guys were always on their heels. So we kind of learned that about our personnel. We just need to let them go and let them fly around and make things happen and clean it up when it gets a little unorganized. But that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to speed them up, and then on the floor, on the offensive end, we wanted to space them out so we could drive them. And we felt like we had a few guards that could get behind the first line of defense. And then when they help, just be unselfish. Like Coach said, we really preach a lot of the same things, it sounds like. Make that extra pass, trust that teammate, be ready to score. And we were able to score enough to beat a really, really good, really well-coached Volcano team. Now,
you kind of mentioned film a little bit. To the layman, that was the big, long, athletic Volcano team against little Santa Fe, right? Mm-hmm. But you watch enough film, and you're a loyal Proview viewer, right?
Yes, yes.
So you watch enough film to know, hey, man, these guys might struggle against our press. Was that in the back of your mind? Because there's no secret that they don't do well against teams that press them.
Yeah, no, I was a fan of their districts all season. Talked to the coaches. I think I watched every game you guys did. There was nights where I'd be going back and forth because you would be at Atrisco, someone else would be at Clear, and I would just go back and forth, and just being a basketball fan and appreciating really good coaching, appreciating good players, so we knew what their strengths were and what they had problems with. We saw them play against Hobbs the night before as well, and felt like Hobbs sped them up a little bit. We felt like we wanted to speed them up, but we wanted to stay organized as well. So when they did handle the pressure, they weren't getting easy shots. And I think defensively, that's what we did a good job of down the stretch, is speed teams up. But to me, it's not really us getting the steals and the turnovers. It's what we're allowing if they do handle the pressure. And as a coach, as long as you're not making layups and wide open threes on us, then I feel comfortable pressing.
We're going to take our first timeout. When we get back, we'll delve into the championship, inside the 5A championship here on Local Focus. Zack Cole, Adrian Ortega, good enough to join me here for this inside look at their 5A Championship Classic. We're going to delve into the game in just a moment, but let's talk about the obvious reaction up to the crowd. It was phenomenal, wasn't it?
It was. We were down there, and the game before us finished a lot earlier than expected, and coach went out before us. I think he went out about the 23-minute mark, and we were still, our kids, I put them in the locker room, and our coaches were out on top of the ramp, and when they ran out, I said, holy cow, there's a lot of Santa Fe guys here. And it was good to see. I mean, I don't know what the numbers were. I heard it was 14,000, but they were really intimidating, and they were into the game, and I'm just glad our kids were in the locker room for that.
And was that intentional? Because that's something I asked someone who was watching with me. I said, I wonder if Adrian's keeping him up there longer than usual, just as this crowd gets settled in.
Well, just like I said, routine. We in APS we get 15 minutes, so we were always out at 15 minutes. And like I said, when the game before us finished earlier, my intention was to go out there and have our kids just shoot, but I knew that they were going to give the individual award ceremony, and I just had them in there, and I said, we're going to come out at 15 like we always do. And there was no rhyme or reason other than that's our routine. We're out at 15 every game. And that's when we came down.
Zach, was it everything you expected of that crowd? I know there was talks of a sellout earlier in the day. They might open the upper section.
Yeah, we heard that, but it exceeded my expectations because we heard about it, but until you actually experience it, it's a whole different thing. And the boys walked down the ramp out in front of the coaches, and quite a bit. We always stay back and let them do their thing, and then we join them down at the bottom. But you can't really see what's actually there until you clear that last little clearance, because the tunnel has that little top on top of you. So once you cleared that, I looked up and got the little chills and the goose. I was like, yeah, they're here. They weren't lying when they said they were going to try to pack this place. And we've always said Atrisco has a great following. Coach, I know you're the AD as well. He does a great job of building that school culture. You don't see that at a lot of APS schools in terms of athletics. But I remember since last year, since we had to go to their place, but the band, the cheer squad, the drill squad, the student section, we knew they were going to have a good following, being an APS school, because they have one of the best here in town. But so the combination of both, and it created a great environment.
I think when we went through the national anthem line, your kids more so than maybe than yours, Adrian, because they were already there the year before. But you could see it on their face. Yeah. They understood the magnitude of what was going on. Did anyone say anything to you before the game, like, Coach, I can't believe this, or anything like that?
We were saying that all week. So I think at that moment we were just trying to soak it up. And again, you could try to anticipate it, but until there's 14,000 people on top of you, cheering, most of them cheering for you, it gets your attention for sure.
All right, we're going to take a look at some video now from the game, and we'll kind of talk over this as we get to some early portions here. Now, how hard is it to, after you see that crowd, to actually step on the floor and start to play basketball? Because if you guys both recall, and we're looking at it here, shooting starts pretty cold.
Yeah, I think it's typical of a big game, regardless of the environment. This one specifically, because there were so many people there. I just felt like both teams are just ready to play. I mean, the anticipation, I don't know how Coach feels, but having to sit out Friday, it's the worst.
Yeah.
And then having the late game, so your emotions are so high because you just had a big semifinal win, but you have to wait 2 days practically to play. Yeah. So and the kids feel the same thing. I think they just both wanted to just go,
Josiah draws an early foul a minute and a half into the game. Was that a concern coming in on the scouting report, how good he is at creating contact, drawing fouls, getting to the line, Zach?
Absolutely. We said he loves to do it more so when he's going to his left. We watched a lot of film on him, but he's really good at that, and we talked about that. So for him to pick it up early, we were just like, oh, man, here we go. But, just to kind of piggyback on what Coach was talking about, I think our boys were amped up. When you got a lot of nerves, you got to try to manage them. And, we made it a goal of ours. This was kind of the first game we went into where we're like, well, if you don't play hard, they're going to outplay us, because that's what they do. That's what I love about them, and that's what makes us good as well. So we said we can't let them outwork us at the beginning. I think that's why there was that much energy and emotion going on, led to a lot of missed shots. But, with Josiah, he's very crafty, and we talked about that, and we went over that multiple times actually with our guys.
So, Adrian, really no cause for concern early. You would expect a little bit of, I don't know if it's even jitters, but just a couple of missed shots at the beginning. No concern there, right?
I think it's the experience that our kids had being there before. I mean, it was the same start as before, and being a fan of basketball, like Coach said, you just see it even in the NCAA's. I mean, you're going to see it tomorrow. That first, 2-3 minutes of tip-off tomorrow, all those teams are going to be so amped up, and typically the team that settles in first goes on a little bit of run. But for us, like Coach said earlier before the cameras were on, we our runs were limited. I mean, we both held on to our timeouts, and the kids just went after each other, and it was just an awesome game. I mean, it was just an awesome game.
We're going to look now at when the game starts to flow, and that's kind of when Dominic Rivas checked in off the bench, and that's been his role most of the season as the sixth man. So this will have the regular game audio, so our audience at home can listen to some of this. But this is kind of when things started to flow.
Rivas, he's left alone out of the wing. Got it! Twining and dining. Dominic Rivas.
One thing about Atrisco, if somebody's hot, they feed him the ball, and that's 2 in a row for Rivas.
It's the largest lead of the game for either team. Atrisco Heritage lead it by 5. Martinez fights his way on the inside, and he left it strong. Gaxiola comes out with a rebound, and there is an injury. And they're going to have to stop this play, I think. Kick out to Rivas, wants a 3 straight away. Rattled at home, a triple. 3 straight for Dominic Rivas. Martinez was able to get up. Let's take another look. Hand it off to him. Fire. Bang. Back in a moment.
Martinez goes down. It leads to another 3 in transition. Zach, Dom kind of sparked the offense there for Adrian. What was the scouting report on him coming in?
Yeah, you know, he's really good at catching and shooting the ball. We wanted to try to turn him into a driver. You know, we always say turn shooters into drivers, right? Turn drivers into shooters. But, you know, just the way, the timing, the placement from the passes from his teammates setting him up, it was hard to be there when he caught the ball, especially in transition. We always say that's one of the best times to get a 3. But we knew he could do that, and we were frustrated when it was happening, you know. But you know, we were just trying to keep our boys calm and composed, and just try to manage that little run that Rivas sparked for them.
Adrian, obviously that's something Dom's done all season, right?
You know, he did, but you know, for us, Josiah wasn't finding him all season long. That's why I keep going back to the sharing and the unselfishness. I mean, some of the losses we had, Josiah still had 30. We had 7 losses, but again, typically early in the season, Josiah was not looking for Dom in those situations throughout the state tournament, and as we started district, you know, I got to give not only Rivas but the other players, because it's not, you have a good shooter, but if you can't find them, well, you know, what's the use? Yeah. But like I said, the dribble, we do a lot of dribble replace, and a lot of teams do a lot of double aways, but the dribble replace, because Josiah is such a big threat. I mean, a backwards pass is hard, especially like coaching in transition. It's hard, and they got us on a couple of those too. I mean, those are near impossible because every coach teaches their players to protect the basket. In transition, run to the basket, protect the basket, put your head under the basket. When you have guys like that running back, his guys and our guys, they're hard to stop.
Zach, what's going through your mind when it hits 13-5 at Atrisco? Is it any time for adjustments yet? Or are you just saying, no, we just got to get into the flow here? What's kind of going through your mind? Take us through that.
I was trying to save timeouts for later in the game because I felt like it was going to be a good game, and I almost used one, but we were able to come out and get a 3-point shot, I believe. Or I know we scored after that little run, so it kind of calmed me a little bit. But, you know, just trying to end their run, trying to break their momentum, and trying to start one of our own. That was really my mindset. And you know, what's going to work offensively, what's going to work defensively. You know, like Coach said, you teach your kids certain ways how to rotate and how to scramble in defense. So just trying to make an adjustment where maybe we can't help off of him, and you know, we might need to face guard him and things like that. But that's what's going through my mind at that moment. But you know, nothing at that point had me ready to hit the panic button just yet. You know, so and I think it's just because we trust our guys.
And then as we get into this next segment, Josh will roll that. You do kind of get your spark that you need off the bench, and that's when Garcia comes in and hits a couple of shots, and we'll kind of talk over that here. But obviously that had to be huge when he could just come in and kind of give you the same energy and the same consistency that Dominic provides Adrian. You have a guy that comes in and does the same thing on the other end. Did that put you at ease, Zach?
Yeah, and it's really, you know, now that we're looking at it, they sort of played the same roles for each of their teams, and that's why Cody's there. We know he can score, and we know we got guys that can set him up, like Coach said, guys like that, you know, that are going to catch and shoot. You know, someone needs to put the ball in their hand not only put it in their hand, but put it there on time. And so we're excited to get Cody in. And we always get Cody in early just to see if he is going to be there with us offensively. And we were lucky enough that he showed up this game.
Adrian, this little segment kind of ends with Dominic Rivas ending that 7-0 run, but you do give up a 7-0 run there. Talk about that.
Well, what's interesting is when I first started coaching, I'd overcoach and I'd look at too much tape, I felt. So my assistant coach, Dan Leba, who's been with me at Atrisco, I believe 8 years now, he just loves that stuff. So when they started draining, I just turned back and looked at him and said, who in the world is that? And how come you didn't tell me who he was? So I rely a lot on my assistant, and I do got to give Daniel Leba a lot of props because he does a lot of the homework, he does the matchups, and he's just my right-hand man. Like I say, I kind of mess myself up with tape because I look too much and I overthink things. So, yeah, when they came back that way, it was just, I was a little concerned because we have what we do in practice, we don't let our kids put their hands on their knees. We just don't. If they're tired, they put their hands over their head. You put your hands on your knees, you're showing everybody in the state how tired you are. I don't care. You cannot do that. And I sensed a little bit of fatigue early, and that was where I was concerned because of the fast start and the back and forth. And I only played 7 guys. I was a little bit concerned, and I was thinking about maybe calling some timeouts, but just like Zach, we like to save them as long as possible just to finish games. But our kids got tired. They didn't show it, but they got tired.
Now, we're going to go through the next segment here, and we'll let our audience actually listen to some of this. But this is a really nice segment of the game where it starts with a rebound from Crawford, and then it kind of goes from there. But this is where things start to really pick up. Let's take a look.
Sorrow will bring it up the court, and he's got a lane, no. Lot of contact, no call. They're letting him go a little bit, Steve, aren't they? As Ramos is bringing it up the court. He's stripped. Ramos up underneath window. Yes, I don't know how, but that's why he's called the musician. Josiah Ramos has 6 points, and it's back to a 3-point Atrisco lead.
If you haven't watched the show, look at
what
this.
A move by Lovato. A stutter. He left Sutphin in his tracks.
I tell you what, Lovato's really picked the tempo of this game up for Santa Fe.
He's got 10 points, Lovato. Here's Ramos for 3. No off the front iron. He can't hit from deep. A foul's going to be called on the rebound on the inside. Crawford was held. It'll be the second team foul as you see Lovato. Steve, I think that's a perfect nickname for him, the General, leading his troops back. And another kiss off the window and a finish there. Steve, this might have been the best finals basketball day that I've seen in a long time. Just all the games so close. The crowds that we've seen since 8 in the morning when Pecos and Newcomb had 10,000 here in the pit. 8 in the morning while you were sleeping, the pit was roaring. Ramos handoff to Crawford. He has to save it. DeMarcus Sutphin pulls up on a little jumper and he can't hit. And Crawford again, the second offensive rebound. Ramos inside, outside to Brooks for 3. He got it. The sophomore, Joe Brooks.
Adrian, I pulled that one out because that kind of started a trend of a really good night for Crawford, especially on the glass. Talk about that.
Well, you know what? He's been relentless all year, rebounding, and he's a team first guy, and he just goes and goes and goes. And I was really happy for Isaiah Brooks. They kept calling him Joe. His brother played for me when we lost in the finals to Valley. But there was some games. He's only a sophomore. When a lot of diversity and a lot of tension came, he would fold. And I told him that. And before this tournament, I said, Isaiah, if you melt down mentally and we end up losing because of it, then you're going to owe our seniors an apology. And I felt like there was no meltdown with him, and he stayed focused, and he hit some big free throws. And for a sophomore, the emotion, 14,000 people in there, and I'm proud of all of them. And just like Coach and probably go down the line with his guys, I just thought the composure, and Marquise just keeping to his job. I got to do my job. I don't need a score. I got to do my job.
Zach, Crawford's not as big as a lot of those Volcano Vista guys you saw in the previous round. In my opinion, though, he's a lot quicker to the ball. Was that something on the report? Did that go under radar? Tell us about that.
Absolutely. Talking to our coaches, Coach Sandoval does all the film breakdown for us, like Coach has his assistants. But just a warrior on the glass, and really we labeled him their best rebounder. And what makes them hard to box out is the fact that, when we're small, us being smaller, when bigger guys try to bury us under the basket, they create contact so we know where they're at, right? So it's easy for us to drive in the opposite direction. With guys like him, he's not going and trying to bully you. He's moving, side to side, getting to open space so he can bend his knees and use his great athleticism, and that's what makes him really hard, and that's what makes him quicker to the ball, like you just referenced.
Now, you're getting out rebounded a little bit, but you come back with a quick three, you get another bucket right after that, and you take a 1-point lead. Talking about the flow of the game at that point, Zach.
Yeah, we were really frustrated with the offensive rebounds. It's really a goal of ours every game to compete and to limit them on that. And I think we did the math. I think they ended with 16 points in the first quarter, and I think they got 10 of them off of a second chance opportunity, and it was really frustrating for us. Trying to just cover the holes where they pop up, and we just addressed that, and we told them you got to find the body. It's not just going to come find you like they did versus Volcano and like they did versus El Dorado, where they just come and just try to bully you under the basket. So I thought we did a better job of that once we addressed it at halftime, and we competed much better on the glass.
Rivas answered, and the pace of the game really starts to pick up. Talk about that, Coach.
Well, like I said, it was back to the rebounds. We were really concerned because typically we have to make a decision. Do we send 4 guys in or do we send 3 guys in? And we were really concerned with their transition. So we were back and forth 3 to 4. Against teams like Cleveland, we don't even bother to send anybody, and we're back there so fast. But the flow of the game started going. It was just like we said in the press conference before, just like we said after. It was, in my opinion, 2 mirror teams, 2 teams that were just so much alike, philosophies. And you just knew runs were going to come. I mean, you just knew it. There was nothing in my mind. There was nothing that I could do to stop them. It became like they got to stop us, we got to stop them, but it's just going to be an offensive battle.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here. We come back, we'll pick it up when Josiah Ramos picks up his second foul.
Pitt in the Greenstone Arena.
Ramos is going to be called for the push-off.
There's that second foul, Adrian. Is that automatic that he would sit there?
Well, typically we let him go, but a game of this magnitude, we did take him out, but it was going to be one of those things. If we can go offense, defense, we were 100% we were going to do it. But if the game stayed close, obviously we want to preserve him a little bit. I think I put him in at the end of the second, but yeah, we weren't going to take any chances with him picking up a third in the first half.
Zach, 4 minutes to play, possibly no Josiah on the floor. Did you think that this is the time where you could create some turnovers and do what you want?
Yeah, absolutely. We talked about it. We wanted to switch our extended pressure up a little bit and go from our road runner to our red jump. And we would only red jump if Ramos wasn't in the game. We had already talked about that because he's really good about getting behind that first line of defense. But, we wanted to get him in foul trouble. That was a goal of ours. We kind of talked about ways on how we were going to do that. Do we send an extra guy? Who are we going to help off of? If we want to do that, and then Cruz Martinez just kind of said, "Hey, coach, I got him. Let me just guard him." And that's who picked up that second foul. Just really making it hard for Josiah to get around him, and maybe a little frustration with a little push off. But we just trusting our guys in those moments, and we were hoping this would be a moment where we can make a run. But they did a good job of holding down the fort while he was out, and the game just that's when we got to feel like this is just going to be a tight game the whole way.
Adrian, you get 2 quick buckets when Ramos actually sits, so that helped kind of ease you and say, okay, I'm going to roll him back out there for the last offensive possession here, see if I can steal another bucket.
And it did, and we knew that if we were going to have a chance to win, other guys had to step up. And he's so good that in practice, oftentimes we have to put him on the second team just to make the other guys better. And throughout the year, our kids developed and it helped us out. But we were really concerned. However, when we did see that the other kids were able to hang in there and maintain, we were definitely relieved. But I got to say this on his point guard, Cruz Martinez. That kid's phenomenal. And I'm from Las Vegas, New Mexico. I went to Robertson High School, and his dad played for Robertson High School. He graduated in '85, I believe. I graduated in '89. But just watching him play is a spit image of how his dad used to play. And his dad was just real crafty and real good, and he's done a good job, and the coach has done a good job with him. And we were really concerned about him because we knew how good of a point guard he was, controlling, handling the ship. So it doesn't surprise me that he told his coach, let me take the best player on their team and let me guard him. So that was awesome. That's awesome to hear.
You Norteños are the kings of the shout-outs, man. You are the king of the shout-out.
You gotta look out for one another.
Right.
Zach, you get a turnover and a missed field goal before DeSario finally hits a bucket. Yeah. Did you feel that fatigue may have been an issue right before halftime for your guys? Because that's something Brian O'Neill, who helped contribute for this project, that's something he kind of maybe observed from his courtside seats.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Our guys are really good condition. But I just think the type of game it just magnified a little bit more. So yeah, I'm sure our guys are getting a little fatigued, a little tired. I've seen our guys make shots when they're not tired. I've seen them make shots when they're tired. So I don't know, but I definitely think because of the type of game it was, the fans, the building up for like almost 2 full days, like Coach referenced earlier. You got to learn how to manage your energy. And that's where if you don't know how to manage your energy and you just let it all go at once, you will catch yourself probably a little bit more fatigued than you're used to.
It's 31-29 at halftime at this point. Adrian, what are some of the highlights of your halftime discussion with your guys?
Well, like every coach in New Mexico and probably the state, every dead ball, every halftime, every end of quarter, we really look at that rebounding stat. And we felt like, like Coach said, we felt like we were up on the offensive board, so we talked about that a lot. Keep doing what you're doing, keep winning the battle, and sharing. But like I said, we were really concerned about their trap off of our rebound, and I felt like after a half of basketball, we were prepared for it. Like I said, it was just do what you do. We've been here, just battle. We're going to go through some adversity and just trust each other and let's go have fun. That's the biggest thing. I mean, I think being down there, if I would have panicked and if Coach would have panicked, or if we would have got to the point where we were just ripping our kids, I don't think it would have been positive. And Coach did a great job down there of being really positive. And I think at that moment, you've already done all your work. The kids got to go play, and I don't know how he feels, but there were many times in that second half they didn't hear me. We tried switching, and he was like, "We're not going to do that no more." We tried 1-2-2, no rotation. I mean, we're not going to do that no more. I mean, they were in a half were in a man. I mean, the communication factor is just so hard down there.
Yeah, it is.
Zach, what were some of the highlights of your kind of halftime talk with your guys?
Addressing the rebounding concerns. I think they had us doubled up. I think they were 20-10 on us overall, but more importantly, the offensive rebounds. I think we figured out that they had about 8 to 10 of those first quarter points off of second chance opportunities. So we really wanted to fix that. And then, I felt like I wanted to try to get to the basket a little bit more. At that moment, I don't think we had shot very many free throws. We didn't shoot a lot of free throws for the game, so I know we didn't shoot a lot in the first half. So that was a concern of mine. We tried to get to the line. We make it a goal to get to the line about 20 times per game. And we only ended with 6 attempts. We made all 6, but that's just it's just a stat that I get to look at to see where the mindset of my players are. Are we being aggressive? Are we attacking downhill? Or are we just going side to side and kind of settling for that stuff? So rebounding and trying to get downhill against their defense was our major points of emphasis.
Now, I heard you talk about, I think it was one of your post games in the earlier rounds, that you're comfortable at a certain margin rebounding since your team's so much smaller.
Yeah,
what is that margin?
Within 5 to 6, we feel like we're okay. And it's not necessarily the defensive, it's the offensive rebounds. We don't want to give those up because it takes away possessions from us. It gives them extra possessions. So if we're within 5, 6, 7, as long as they're the right type of rebounds that we're giving up, with the amount of turnovers we can create on our, when we play defense, we don't feel like we're going to lose the game because of that stat, just because of our smaller players. But earlier in the year, we wanted to win that stat, when we had Anthony and JB and those guys. But again, it was just trying to re-identify ourselves and be realistic with each other but not getting doubled up. We were down, I think, 20-10 at the half, so that was a major concern of ours.
Now, you open up on a quick 9-3 run. You find yourself up by 4, but Josiah erased that pretty quickly. We're going to look at that right now. That's a nice little segment of the beginning of the second half.
Screen is set for Ramos. Going to go around one, and that's such a hard play. He has had a tough game so far. Ramos, though, with a floater, he's got 8 points. He finds a way, doesn't he?
He does, and the thing that's so great about him is, Santa Fe hits a 3, and he comes back and takes over the game. gets his team within one.
Good defensive play by Sutphin. Here
He's
is
gonna
Ramos
pull up.
straight away for three in the lead. Bang, bang, bang. Josiah Ramos.
What's your concern level growing at that point about Josiah getting into the action?
Yeah, not letting him do that for another 2 or 3 possessions, because we've seen a lot of film where he'll go 4 or 5 possessions just out of this world type of confidence. And again, it was just trying to refocus, trying to just the first shot he made was tough. He's very crafty going to the basket, but transition threes, we definitely don't want to start giving those up because those are big momentum shifters. And again, we're just trying to refocus, trying to get back on him. And we knew he was going to score. We just wanted to make it hard for him to score. We don't want to give him nothing easy.
Adrian, at that point, did you think Josiah was starting to assert himself? He did a real nice job getting his teammates involved early on, but when you've seen it all year, did you think, okay, he's starting to really assert himself here?
Well, I believe they held him to 6 points in the first half, which is, I don't think anybody's done that all year long. And I kind of felt like I sensed he was a little bit frustrated as well going into halftime. They did a phenomenal job on him. I know they kept changing guys on him. But we knew, I mean, the kids faced double teams. He's faced face guard, he's faced box and ones. Joe Coleman did a 1-3 chaser on him. I mean, he's seen it all. So, our confidence was still with him. One of the things, again, back to my staff, we have a coach, his name's Christopher Pata, and he has a really good bond with Josiah. And he did a lot of talking to him at halftime. And I'm looking at coach's staff, and he has a good staff, and it's just not just us two.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pieces involved, but just keeping them in, just keeping them focused. And the kid's mentally tough. I mean, there's just no doubt about that.
Zach, near the end of the third quarter there, you get 3 good looks at the basket.
Yeah.
At that point, you're winning the turnover battle. You're kind of losing the rebounding battle. What are your thoughts going into the fourth quarter after those misses?
I just wanting to knock down some open shots. Those are the types of shots we want to get, the spots we want to get them, with the guys that we want to shoot them. And, and that's just the game sometimes. Again, we trust our guys. We tell them, if you get those looks, shoot them with confidence. That's really what got us there to that moment. So we weren't really trying to overthink it, overcoach it, like Coach talks about sometimes. We wanted to just kind of just let our guys be our guys, and let's see where it gets us.
Adrian, having watched you a lot this year, I told my camera guy if he's got a lead in the fourth, I don't think they're going to relinquish it. Yeah. Do you have that same kind of sense of confidence, and do your kids have that same sense of confidence in the fourth?
Well, we tell our kids a lot, just give us a chance. I mean, coaching, as Coach knows, the last 2 minutes. That's kind of where you got to make right decisions, and we do a lot of scenarios in practice. We do a ton of scenarios. Here's a scenario, let's go, and you can't simulate 14,000 people, for crying out loud. But we just really I enjoyed it. I mean, I don't know about Coach, but just nobody wants to come and see a team hold the ball. Yeah. They want to come see 2 guys, 2 teams, just go at it, and the winner take all. And I'm just proud of the way our guys came out. I'm proud of the way his guys came out. I mean, no one walked out of that pit going like this was a 28-27 win, and yay, that was fun to watch. I mean, I think everybody was amped up, and they probably can't wait to see us play again next year. It's the same style.
We're crossing our fingers.
It's a fun style. It's a fun style, and like Coach said, I think another hard thing about coaching is the good shot, bad shot.
Yeah.
If I tell Dom Rivas, don't shoot it, he ain't going to make 6 threes in the pit. If he tells Lovato, don't shoot it, or that's a bad shot, which you want to do, they're not going to do what they do in the pit. It's the confidence level. And I know his team plays with confidence, my team plays with confidence. And when you have shooters, the rebounding thing, that's the three-pointer equalizes that. Yeah. If you look at, I believe we got out-rebounded by 10 at Rio Rancho, but we shot 60% from the field. I mean, there's the equalizers, Yeah. So it was just fun, very fun to be a part of, and like I said, I'm just watching his guys go, and I'm like, holy cow, this is getting out of control.
Why have your teams the last couple of years been so successful at closing out games? Because it really stands out the last 2 years how your guys execute in the fourth.
I just think, like I said, I think the scenarios are huge in practice, and sometimes as a coach you have so much to work on, like shooting, we shoot a lot, like rebounding, like everybody shells, all these things. I just think the scenarios, and we do scenarios probably 3-4 times a week, no matter what. I mean, here's the deal: out of bounds under the basket, you're down by 1. Here's side out, you're down by 4. I mean, we'll put you're down by 12, 2 minutes, you got to go press. I think that prepares the kids. But again, to do it in front of 14,000 or do it in the pit or do it in big games, it's really a credit to the kids. They're executing for you. There's either that or they're just scared to death that I'm going to rip them if they don't win and they're not going to want to go to the locker room. I mean, I don't know. But,
either way, don't change it.
But they executed, and we're just real proud of their discipline. You know, discipline's a big part of it.
Start of the quarter, we're going to take a look at this segment here. It's a quick 90 seconds, 4 makes. I mean, this was really fun to watch. Let's take a look.
The right rotation, and there he goes.
A swing out to the far wing, and it's DeSaro, Twining and Dinan. And Santa Fe back out in front. It's his third three-pointer. He's got 11, and the Demons lead it by 1. Kavanaugh had tipped that away from Ramos, and man, there is somebody new guarding Ramos every time, Stephen. It's working. Coach Cole, he's been on his game, hasn't he?
He really has. I mean, both teams, I mean, everybody's contributing, you know, coming off the bench.
Rivas for 3, fading back. Bang! Knock it down. Rivas' 6th triple of the game. He's got 18, and it's Atrisco back in front by 2.
And he's 6 for 7. You know, that's what's even more remarkable.
The swing out to Kavanaugh, wants the answer. Right back at you. Christian Kavanaugh's second three-pointer. He's with 6. It's a 1-point game. Brooks going to kick it out and a swing to Sutphin all the way out to Ramos. Wants a three-pointer. Got it!
He's nuts.
I think you guys both kind of talked about it already, but, you know, just seeing that clip, I mean, how high of a level is this game being competed at?
Very high, and it's funny because the depth of that, we actually practiced those because, you know, I don't know if you recall when we played Valley and lost in the finals, we had my son, Adrian Ortega, and we had Corbin Waukee, who was also on my staff, and we had JoJo Brooks, Isaiah's brother, and they would shoot from deep, and that was by design because I really believe that line in the pit, there's 2 lines, it really gets kids because it's different.
Yeah, no one's towing up to the white line anyway.
No, so we welcome that deep shot. We teach it. We do drills with it, and obviously it pays off because that line really messes these kids up. If they're not used to it, they go down there, they catch it. I've seen it. I've coached kids that just look down before they shoot, and I mean those are some deep bombs, and they had an answer for every single one of them.
Zach?
Yeah, no, to piggyback off that, we do a full court shooting drill where we start off with mid-range runners, floaters, runners, mid-range threes, and then we always end it with NBA threes. So we also teach our boys to, you know, get back behind that line, and we tell them, you know, in terms of their form, it shouldn't change. Just a little bit more legs, a little bit more, get a little bit more underneath it, and but that's because we love to shoot the 3, and sometimes you got to shoot it from deep to give yourself a chance. Yeah.
Let's go into this next one here. Zach, you're under 4 minutes now. You're down 4, but then Garcia comes in and he starts to heat up. You call a timeout. Atrisco answers. What's going through your mind at this point?
You know, we just wanted to do you know, we wanted to get Cody the ball. He had made a couple. We ran a set for him where we brought him off a double stagger, made a deep one. And once Cody gets confidence, he doesn't need much, but we were hoping he'd hit 1 or 2 more down the stretch. Again, just you know, putting a kid in a situation to play to his strengths. As coaches, sometimes we can overthink it and overdo it, but you know, just keep it simple, man. We you know, I think that's what my coaches do a great job of in terms of relaying that sort of message to our guys. Just play to your strengths, focus on being strong with your weaknesses, and good things will happen.
You have a lead now with 2:10 to play, and it kind of looked like maybe you were spreading them out a little bit. Is that an accurate assessment?
Yeah, you know, I know they're really good playing with the lead down the stretch, but I felt like we're really good as well. If we have a lead, we're going to space you out. You're going to have to come get us, and that's easier said than done when you got Christian and you got Antonio and you got Cruz Martinez, and so we were just trying to space them out. While we space teams out, it's not necessarily to stall. It's to open up those driving lanes, so when they do extend to come get us, then we want to get into attack mode. So that's what we're really trying to do right here.
Let's go into the next clip here, and then Adrian will kind of talk over it a little bit. But what's going through your mind here before the Garcia miss with them on top?
Well, we knew, you know, just with our pregame planning and our game plan, because they ran that spread a lot against Volcano, and it was very effective. We knew that. I told our guys they're not stalling, they're creating lanes, and we actually went to a 1-2-2 beyond this point, and I felt like it helped us because they matched up with our zone. You know, they ran 5 out, and we were just 1-2-2 matching up with them. I think it slowed them a little bit,
So right here, you called a double thumbs up to kind of go into that trap,
Yes,
right?
the 1-2-2 extended. We weren't trying to trap. We were just basically, it was just a real matchup, like soft trapping. We were telling them, don't extend, just see if we can make them make a mistake. And basically, we were just trying to put our kids in a position where we could find their shooters. And I thought it was pretty effective for the most part.
Now, Zach, we're going to come up on what ends up being a pretty good shot, actually. You have to be pleased with the looks at this point, right?
Yeah, and that's my way to gauge. Is it a shot we teach them to get? That'll tell us whether we feel like it's a good shot or not. Can't really focus on the result all the time, especially in a tight situation, one possession game. You want to get a good shot, or what you feel is a good shot. And I thought our guys were able to do that, so we were proud of them for that.
Adrian, did you think that Lovato miss there may have been the turning point for good after you've gone ahead at this point, short clock?
No, the game was too tight. There was a lot of opportunities for free throw attempts, and in this environment, like I said, talking to DeMarcus and talking to Brooks, they both admitted that the floor was shaking. And I mean, the basket was moving. So no, we didn't concede at all. We knew we were it was still in jeopardy. We needed to finish it up.
We'll go to this next one here. And this is going to be dribbled towards your bench here, Adrian. How close to a turnover was this?
Lost it.
Very close.
Oh, they're going to say.
Zach, at that point, did you think you had him turned over?
Yeah, and that was the thing. We went into our 12-50, our half-court trap, our 1-2-2 trap, because it's just, we're trying to get the ball back, and we were hoping to create a turnover. And I got excited when I saw it go out of bounds, and then I saw the call. So it was a little frustrating, but, just, again, trying to put ourselves in a situation to make a play, and we came close.
Did you mean to foul Brooks right there? Did you want to foul that early?
I didn't. Well, we knew we didn't want to foul Josiah.
Okay.
So yeah, we were
so
going.
you were planning to start fouling at that 56?
Going for traps.
Okay.
And once we didn't get a steal or a deflection off of a trap, we definitely wanted to try to extend the game a little bit. Yeah. Knowing that they're really good at shooting free throws, but we always like to try to extend the game and give our guys a chance to make a play.
Adrian, were you surprised that they fouled that early, considering how good they are at turning teams over?
I wasn't, because my thought was Coach Cole wants to control his own destiny. And either way, I think he misses this one. It's still a one-possession game. I would have done the same thing. I want the ball in my hands to decide the outcome of the state championship game. So I wasn't surprised at all.
Now, Zach, you come down here, and this has been Kavanaugh's spot on the floor all year. He ends up getting a shot out of the corner. And, he shoots that 10 more times, chances are he makes 7.
Yeah.
So, again, you have to be extremely happy with the look, because that's his hot spot on the floor, right?
No, absolutely. That's his spot. And actually, when I didn't know if Antonio saw him when he drove, and then I saw Antonio put it in the air, and I was like, oh, yeah, I started getting these butterflies in my stomach, because I knew the shot was coming. And, the way he shot it, the release looked good. It all looked good. Unfortunately, it just didn't go in. But, no, that's what we're talking about in terms of good shots. That's Kavanaugh's shot. He's hit that a lot for us all year.
Adrian, obviously you had to know that was his spot as well. Did you think that was going in?
My heart stopped. It took forever for that ball to hit the rim. It was just, I thought it was down. I thought he got a clean look. Our closeout was late, and I said, I was just thinking, here we go. Give it to Josiah, go to the basket, and let's call timeout, see what we can do.
At the end of the clip there, you see DeMarcus secure the rebound. At that point, was that the clincher?
No, still not. Still a one-possession game. We're dealing with high school kids here. You never know what they're going to do. Look at the night before. Isaiah Brooks is traveling with the ball, and we're getting pinned. No, we didn't think at all. We just, until that horn sounded, we were not going to get comfortable. It was far from over.
Zach, what are you drawing up during those timeouts at the end there?
Again, we were just now, we're hoping they miss free throws, but we call it speed game in the mixer. We just it's our fast break. We just get to our spots. We get wide so we can have driving lanes to either get to the basket or if they help from the spots we want them to help from, kick to our shooters. So at this point, it was just trying to get the ball down as quickly as possible with an aggressive mindset to either get to the basket or kick out for shots.
You forced Adrian to use a timeout late there. At that point, what are you drawing up? Was a 5-second violation really the only hope at that point, or what's going through your mind at that point?
No, 5-second violation, but also a deflection. We're big on the deflection stat. We feel like when we create them, as aggressive as our boys are in terms of anticipating the ball and ball hawking, if we could create a deflection, maybe we could come with a loose ball, maybe we could get an extra pass for an open shot, or if the deflection's close to the basket, maybe we could get to the basket or even get fouled. So just trying to be as active as we possibly can, not necessarily focusing on the 5-second call, although that's a part of it. We're trying to get our hand on the ball.
Post game, Adrian, take us through that. Obviously, the exhilaration there.
You know, I mean, you can't describe it. You know, just this time around, I took a step back and, you know, took a sigh, a big breath, and was like, wow, it's so surreal. But what I enjoy is just watching our kids' reactions. Last year, I didn't take time to, you know, see what was going on, and just, you know, and also looking at our opponents and looking at our, you know, it was big for me to get our kids to shake Santa Fe's hands. You know, that was important for me. Like, okay, celebrate, but now that's enough. I told our coach, go get them over there. It was important for me to shake coach's hand because of the job he did. And it was just nice to see our kids be classy both sides.
Zack, take us into your locker room after the game. Obviously, that had to be tough, but
Yeah.
having seen your locker room videos all season, I know you probably handled that to a T, letting your guys know how great of a season they had.
Yeah, and that's what it was. You know, there's gonna, you know, you're not gonna get them out of that feeling right away, but really just recognizing our accomplishments. You know, and first before we went up to the locker room, though, I wanted to be classy for Coach, because they're so classy for, you know, to everybody else. But after they gave us our second place trophy, our guys were walking up, and I called them over, and I made them stand right by our bench, and I said, hey, we're not leaving till they get that first place trophy, and to show them some respect, because they deserve it. What they've done is really amazing, and Coach has always been great to me as well. And their players were really good to our players. I heard some of the comments they were saying in the handshake line, and just a lot of respect for one another. And so I wanted to, you know, give that respect back. So we did that, and as soon as they got the first place trophy, we went up and just trying to pick them up, you know, because I know they're down. But I told them they may have walked away with the red and not the blue, but they're champions to me, and our coaches echoed that as well. They were our champions for the ride that they put us on, and that's it. Just really recognizing the seniors, the 6 seniors that we've had. They changed the culture there, man, and they've really paved the way for good things to happen over the next few years. So just giving them their moment that they deserve, but trying to pick them up out of being sad, you know, and shared a lot of tears with them. And you know, those are the moments that coaches really appreciate with their players. So we didn't want to let it go, man. We stayed in there forever.
Yeah.
The media room was hounding us, but you know, it's hard to say goodbye to those guys, man. We love them, and we have a lot of respect for them. So it took a while to get out of the locker room.
Right. Obviously, Adrian's comments were well documented in the paper that he's working on next year, and he's ready to return.
Absolutely.
So I'll give the stage to you.
Yeah.
If Adrian wants to dance again next year, are your guys up to be a willing dance partner? Because we'd like to see a rematch.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, just like Coach said earlier, just basketball being played the right way, and not just with the made shots and stuff, but just the energy, just the respect for the opponent, the trust in each other as teammates. It's just good basketball, and we're happy to be a part of it. And I just want to thank Coach Ortega for pulling the best out of us, because we knew how good they were. So our guys really knew how good we needed to be, and we were almost there, just not quite enough.
Coach, your closing thoughts?
Well, you know, they'll be back. It's going to happen. I think what's important for everybody in all high schools is, you know, when you have administrators who understand what athletics brings to your school, brings to your community, I think that's kind of a lost, you know, within the last 20 years, there's been a shift. A lot of principals were ex-coaches. You don't see that much, and Coach is lucky to have one that I played against, Carl Morano. He couldn't stop me, by the way. You can go and tell him. We played in the Capital City tournament, but no, he's a very good basketball player. He also coaches Santa Fe High. Yeah. You know, I'm lucky enough to have Irene Cisneros as my principal, and she didn't play sports, but she's understanding exactly what sports do brings the community together. It's, you know, it's what people come to your gym. That's what they know you by, your sports team. We have an associate superintendent, Antonio Gonzalez, who's from Peñasco, who all these people are contributors, you know, assistant coaches, all the work. When you have people like that on your side, it just means the world. And you know, I hope every high school administrator out there understand that this is big time. This is big stuff, and these kids are the kids that are pushing our academic standard as well. I mean, they got a criteria to meet. I mean, these kids deserve all the accolades that they can get. So I got to say that because I do know his principal, and he's a really good person, and he understands the importance of athletics.
Yeah, he does.
I want to thank my director, Josh Brown, for cutting up those clips for you. I want to thank Brian O'Neill, who contributed to this project, and I want to thank you for watching. Next week, I'll be all new with Josiah Ramos. Good night, everybody.